Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sing 24 TV. This is the Nationalist show with Kennedy Abung. Today we are going to have an interactive session with my friend and colleague Jacob Amos. As he comes on board, do kindly subscribe and click that notification bell so that you're notified whenever we post. Our topic for today is about whether President RUTO will fight corruption, whether President RUTO will fight corruption. Jacob here did a video wherein he noted that the president will indeed fight corruption, and we got a comment from one of our viewers, Nation of Africa, who commented as follows, that RUTO will not fight corruption. We might become like Nigeria, where there are few extremely wealthy people with oil money and a large population of poor people. Nigeria founder of financial company Flutterwave was pictured with him in his recent New York trip. That is the UN trip. A Nigerian reporter had predicted on Twitter that should Ruto win the presidency, the money laundering cases against Flutterwave in Kenya would be struck out. And indeed, they were struck out within a week of inauguration. Transnational Bank, which was bought by Nigerian company Access Bank recently, was reported to have been involved in money laundering, the loot of former Nigerian President Sani Abacha, one of the worst looters in African history in the late 90s. Transnational Bank was founded by corruption suspects in former Kenyan President Moi's regime. Flutterwave is associated with Access Bank. Access Bank was allegedly involved in financing Ruto's campaign. So, Jacob, before I hope you've heard the concern or the views of that viewer.
Yes.
And you also have your thoughts on this issue, and that is why I brought you on board. To at least, I would like to interrogate you why you think that the president will fight corruption.
Yes.
So, welcome, Jacob. You can.
Well, thank you very much, Kennedy, for
Yes.
hosting me to your set.
Yes.
Thank you very much, viewers, for always supporting us in our endeavors.
Yes.
And thank you specifically to this viewer who's had the courage to comment and tell us what he or she is also aware of in his endeavors.
Yes. So, viewers, Jacob here is going to tell us why he thinks Ruto is going to fight corruption. But before he does that, let me just tell you a bit of a story, and which was told by Jacob himself. And I believe that he finds this story quite insightful before he proceeds and give us his views. He told us a story of the frog and the scorpion. The scorpion meets the frog in the riverbank.
Yes.
And he tells the frog, I'd like to cross to the other side of the river. Would you kindly carry me on your back across the river? Then
yes.
The frog says, no, Scorpion, I cannot do that. The scorpion asks, why can't you help me? Then he says, if I do that, then you will sting me. And, you will sting me. And then the scorpion said, why would I sting you? If I do that, then it would be to the detriment of both of us.
Yes.
Then the
froggy bought the
logic,
yes.
And carried the scorpion on its back.
On his back across the river.
On reaching the middle of the river, the deepest point of the river, the scorpion raised his stinger
yes.
and stung the softest part of Froggy.
The froggy,
yes. And then the froggy let out the loudest of cries, you've stung me, you've stung me. And there was a retort from the scorpion saying, it is in my nature, it is in my nature. So my question to Jacob is, President RUTO, a man who's been taken to court, and indeed in one of the cases has been found to have been corruptly taken somebody's land, and a man who's been accused of all these things in the course of all this presidency, President Moi, President Kibaki, President Uhuru Kenyatta. Can this man change? Is this man the proverbial scorpion or not? Will the scorpion sting one last time? Jacob.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the scorpion is going to resist that urge to sting. Number 2, he who looks for honey must be ready to face the bees.
Yes.
President Ruto is hell-bent on reigning for 10 years.
Yes.
So he still have an election to win come 2027.
So how is that related to corruption?
It's very much in his best interest not to mess up his first term.
Yes.
His first term must be impeccable.
Yes.
He must do a good job.
Yes.
President Ruto, I believe, only allegedly was corrupt. You see, Kennedy has used the right words. Allegedly, because none of these things have ever been proven in court. These politicians, 100% of them, have corruption allegations leveled against them. So, Mr. Ruto, our beloved president, is not unique to such an allegation. It's not just him.
But Jacob, you see,
yes.
When we speak about corruption, corruption are the small things. Forget about the big ones. Even the small things. President Ruto is one person who had been taken to court in Muteshi land, if you can remember, and the court indeed found that the land that he had actually encroached and taken somebody else's land, and he was asked to pay damages. This man has been taken to court. And again, when you are going to speak about, these are just allegations, you have to also realize that where there is smoke, there is fire. Really, are we just going to say just because somebody wants to, run for the next or reign for the next 10 years, therefore he's going to resist the urge of, stealing? Are you taking us back to 2013 when we were told that Uhuru has a lot of money and therefore will not, is this more or less the same thing you are telling us now?
Well, President Ruto is unique.
Yes.
Number 1, I believe this guy.
Yes.
Say the judiciary now, and then he's come in and has reverted all these things that were purportedly not good. Their beef with the judiciary. You see, now it's going down as if Uhuru is the one who had a beef with the judiciary. So yet President Ruto was in that government.
So what you are telling me is that Ruto used Uhuru's government or fleeced Uhuru's government so that he can have money to run for presidency and therefore try to stop corruption.
What I'm telling you is that the president learns, and he learns once.
Yes.
All the things that went bad in the Uhuru administration, he's overturned almost all of them on his first day in office.
But don't you think these are just things, you see, because these are just things for the optics, things that to make you feel like he's working. But in essence, he's trying to create a situation where when he's now finally going to eat, he's not going to have, he's not going to have the judiciary on his neck, the police or the DCI, so his people will be eating. Because when you're really interested in fighting corruption, and then your deputy is chasing away the DCI members back to, even the way they speak, the contemptuous manner they speak about these people, it shows that there is not really that genuineness in terms of fighting corruption.
Number 1, we will not speak for Mr. Rigathi.
Yes, but it's part of the administration.
Well, I'm not speaking for Mr. Rigathi. Okay. I'm speaking for the president.
Yes.
The president has learned everything that went bad in the previous administration.
Yes.
And he's hell-bent on doing exactly the opposite, and he's been doing for the few days, about a week that he's been president, he's done the exact opposite. You are trying to tell me that it's a case of the black coffee that is too strong, that keeps me awake, and that is bitter. You see?
Yes.
And now you are telling me to add cream on that coffee. This is where you are telling me that now the president is whatever he did in the judiciary by swearing in the judges that were not sworn in by the previous administration, and what is done to the Inspector General of Police office,
the IG, yes,
the IG,
giving them
the financial autonomy.
Yes.
You see, now you are telling me that all this good that is done so that he pave way for himself, to the extent that when it comes a time when he wants to eat, now he's going to eat without any impediment. If anything, he has strengthened these institutions.
No, not quite. I think what I'm trying to tell you is this, that politicians being politicians, everything or every move that they make, they'll be playing politics. That we have to realize, that the president is a politician before he's a president. And therefore, whatever move that he's making is making to benefit him and to make him appear good in the eyes of the public. That we have to realize.
Well,
so when he did that, I must say it was something commendable. I'm not saying that it is not something commendable. It is something commendable. But does that therefore mean that he will not be corrupt?
Well, viewers will agree with me.
Yes.
Will agree with me that the president has done something that the previous president did not do.
But that equates to him now not fighting corruption. You know, you are not addressing this issue.
What am I not addressing?
You're not addressing this issue. You know, when the government, RUTO is not only, RUTO has an administration.
Yes.
You see, he's not one man.
He's not one man.
Are you telling me that the president himself is not going to eat, but the rest will eat? Or are you telling me that the president will eat, but will block others from eating?
What I'm telling you is that
or everybody else will not
if there will be eating, people will be brought to book, and it will not be coming from the president himself. Maybe remnants of the previous administration that still think that it's business as usual. You see, President RUTO struck fear at the heart of these people. Everybody, even people who are eating, are still watching to see if it's business as usual. If President give them a reason to believe that it's business as usual, then they might eat.
But don't you think
if the president stick to the kind of fear that is struck at the heart of these people, that is no nonsense, which we've seen, that he's the one who is arranging, like he's taken charge, he's taken leadership of his government. Number two, the president.
I don't get. I don't. When you're saying no, I have to take your.
Just let me submit
before you proceed.
My rebuttal.
Okay, then proceed.
The president. You say that the president is a politician first before he is.
Yes.
What viewers will half of Kenya will agree with me is that the president is a leader first before he's politician.
No, Jacob. The president, everybody is a politician first before you are a politician first before you are a leader, and that is why they seek for their survival politically. Right now, when you're speaking about the president who told us that he will not, he will ensure that the wage bill of our nation is reduced. You see, so that government wastage is capped. And this same president now wants to bring back what we call the CAS, the Chief Administrative Secretary, a position that was created by Jubilee government. For what purpose? To reward political losers. And then the courts went ahead and held that position to be unconstitutional. Right now, what is he doing? Is gone behind now, trying to give Public Service Commission some sort of role so that they may collect views to allow him to create this position again. Why? If he's really interested, and that is what I'm telling you, he's a politician. He wants to reward his people, he will remain a politician. If he was a corrupt politician, he will remain corrupt. It is not going to change because he's the president.
A lot are going to change, and Kennedy is still living in the past. President Ruto is the emblem or symbol of the future. We've just seen the president from the day he was sworn into office moving in fast and reining in a lot of things that were very contentious before.
That was excitement.
Believe me, guys and ladies and gentlemen, this president is not like any other president we've seen before. This president has gotten into office with the strongest mandate and at the head of his party. This president has a vision,
and actually, you see, the fact that he's gotten into this
yes,
as the head of his makes
yes,
him more like a god, a small god who cannot be questioned.
No.
Yes.
President Ruto has told us.
Essentially, that is it.
President Ruto has told us.
And you have a deputy in Rigathi Gachagua. You see. That even makes it worse.
In what sense, Kennedy? In what sense?
You have somebody who can just toss around with. It is your party. It is everything about you. It is you.
President.
I've always said this thing, Jack. It is a story of William Ruto.
Now
he wrote the story. He knows its beginning and he knows its end. Jacob cannot convince me that a man who's been corrupt will suddenly change just because he wants to rule for 10 years. And Kenyans do not care about leaders being corrupt. Otherwise, Waiguru would not be governor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a leader we have as president today. And for Kenyans who still don't believe that it's not going to be business as usual, as we can see, my dear friend Kennedy here, they are in for a rude shock. This president has to prove even his own political detractors wrong. He knows that there are a lot of politicians, the Raila Odingas, Uhuru Kenyatta's, who think that, you remember Uhuru Kenyatta saying that after 3 months Kenyans are going to cry. Well, we may cry economy-wise, because the president is not going to subsidize consumption and whatnot. But in the long run, Kenya is going to be a very strong economy. You see? So, these political detractors, President Ruto, it's in his best interest to disapprove these people. And Ruto is going to disapprove these people. Ruto is the kind of a man who tries to debunk whatever you think about him. Now, even the media, both printed and mainstream, thought that now he was going to come after them in certain ways that they never thought. Before his inauguration, when he allowed KBC to capture his inauguration, they thought that now it was the end of media. And as a Mio people thought that now, they gloated that, they told us that now he's coming for the media. You see, yesterday I just had another rumor about the fertilizer that the president really delivered into the country. Some people saying that, it was a relief food and whatnot. This has been debunked. We've proved this wrong, that the president actually has the best interest of the nation at heart, Mr. Kennedy.
Viewers, you have to take what Jacob has said with a pinch of salt. He has not addressed the real question. When a government comes to power, there are people who put that government to power. Those people have their interests. So in the first half of this government is where the corruption will thrive. It happened with the Kibaki government. It happened with the Uhuru government. And indeed, President Uhuru said that corruption was ripe in his first government, because at that point in time, you owe so many people political debts. And therefore, after your second term, is when you now start to fight here and there so that you can help salvage your legacy, which President Uhuru did to some extent. It is not going to be the same or any different with President Ruto. He has debt. He is on record saying that his campaigns were supported by people. People do not support you just for the sake of it. Lawyers do not represent you in such huge case without something in return. At some point, they will come and tell you, I need this. And those will be given.
So you believe that there will be a quid pro quo?
There will be a quid pro quo.
Yes.
And where is corruption? Corruption happens at the quid pro quo. Because then you will have to flout very critical laws such as laws on procurement. You should give this person, don't do this, don't do this. Like right now, the president has decided now he really wants to bring the cars back. The moment somebody can go against an order of the court which declared those positions as unconstitutional, it tells you that the president is just being a politician like any other. Personally, I always believe, Jack, that for us to fight corruption, it requires an entire change of our system. The way we think as a people and the system, our laws, and what we view public service as. You know, in the street, people say citizens, you'll find saying, even Duale said it, hiyo pesa unapigia kelele ni ya mama yako. So until we change our mindset, I don't think we are going to change. And I don't think the president is going to fight corruption. I'm giving you an opportunity to give the viewers your last thought on the issue.
Yes. Well, my last thought, Kennedy,
yes.
In summary, I believe that whatever accusations that were leveled against our president,
yes,
they are in the past.
Yes.
None of them has ever been proven right in any way. And since inauguration, the president has given us no reason to doubt whatever agenda he has for this nation. President RUTO is one of the most hardworking Kenyans. This is a man who wakes up at 3 and goes to bed at about 1. He sleeps for about 2 or 3 hours and then he's up again.
Which is very dangerous.
We believe that kind of drive, when well channeled, like we saw in the agricultural docket
yes,
and the higher education docket back in post 2007, 2008, 2009, when he was serving us as minister. We saw we reaped big. We reaped big as a nation. So and we are just hoping, and we are carrying our baskets of hope that this time round we've sowed and we will reap even bigger when economy will be booming, even more than what President Kibaki himself achieved. President RUTO is the man of the moment.
Thank you very much, Jack, for coming and trying to debunk that theory. Yes. To our viewers, Jacob believes that the president stands a greater chance to prove a lot of people wrong. And therefore, his premise on the president fighting corruption is based on his need to, prove so many people wrong. That we may wait to see and how this government will go on in the long run. Personally, I believe that birds of a feather work together. You operate with corrupt people, you are corrupt. If you were corrupt before, you won't change. So whatever Jacob is saying, we will see in the long run in the next 5 years. Thank you very much.